What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. Guys, in today's video, we want to talk about a very touchy subject, right? Now, this subject is touchy because I believe that it's perceived, but at the same time, it's actually warranted, right? Because there are people that believe that colored people are violent and probably the most feared race group in South Africa. Do you believe it? Do you think that is a fair analysis? Or do you think that is a very unfair analysis? Or it's an unfair judgment? Or do you think it's a fair judgment? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we're family, right? So, don't forget to let me know what you think about this subject, this topic in the comment section below. Holla! People from Eldorado Park and Westbury in Johannesburg, all the way to Hanover Park and Manenberg in Cape Town. South Africa's colored communities or colored areas are deemed some of the most, if not the most dangerous areas in South Africa. And why is this the case? Do you agree with this notion or do you not agree with this notion? Some would argue that the black areas like Soweto, Khayelitsha are more dangerous than the colored areas. Now, to be honest with you, in my personal humble opinion, right, I've seen that more black people are afraid to date or reside in colored areas, whereas colored people are more willing to live and reside in black areas. And if you look at the demographics, you will see that there are more colors residing in black areas than black people residing in colored areas. So why is this the case? Okay, so we have to go back to the 80s basically, right? So this whole notion of violence, I think, started back in the 80s, right? With the removal acts, right? The racial housing removal act that was implemented by the apartheid government. I think it all started there. Now, why am I saying this? Before 1948, people lived anywhere and everywhere. Crime was relatively low. Now, we could possibly say that there was crime, right? But it wasn't at the levels that it then became in the 80s. Now, what brought on this crime levels so high? Number one, people were the Group Areas Act, right? The Group Areas Act removed people from their homes, right? And put them into confined spaces, basically living on top of each other in small little squashed areas. Therefore, these people were now competing for space and for resources, right? And some say it is out of these ghettos that the gangs were then formed. That's the one notion. Others say that it all started in the prison system, then spilled over into the communities. While others say it all started with the introduction of drugs. Now, whichever one you want to believe, whichever one of these narratives that you want to believe, it all kind of ties in because they're all intertwined, right? I don't know which one specifically because if you ask different people, they all tell you different answers. No one has a specific answer to say where all this violence began. Okay, so we clear that up, right? Now, why are colored people deemed the violent people? If you talk predominantly about crime in Cape Town, it only boils down to one thing. It's always gang related violence, right? If you talk about crime in Johannesburg, it will be your house breakings, your car hijackings, it will be your cash in transit robberies. These crimes that are so prevalent in Johannesburg are relatively non existent in the Cape Town area. Not to say there isn't, but it's one and few in between. Whereas in Johannesburg, if you're looking at the gang related crimes in Johannesburg, they are confined mainly to the colored areas of Eldorado Park and Westbury to be exact. Now, this is another thing that you might find shocking. When it comes to like your Kylie chat and Google it, this it's not gang violence per se. It's individual, maybe groups of individuals that are committing, not gangs. It will be a group of guys, a group of friends, but they are not a gang. They are a crew, which is not a gang. So you need to always remember that it's it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just a crew getting up to mischief, pickpocketing, and yes, I must say they also do violent crime with your guns and all that stuff, right? So, but it's not the same level as on the gang violence side, like how it is in the colored areas. So that's the one thing that you need to differentiate when we're talking about the different crimes in Cape Town. You understand what I mean? So, how are they violent and why are they violent? That's a good question. Some say it boils down to drugs. Some say it was just born out of anger from the Housing and the Group Areas Act. That's where it all stems from. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Do you agree with us so far or do you disagree? Right? So, people, are we a violent people? Answer is people are generalizing when they just say that we are a violent people. You see, every race group has its bad people and its good people. And unfortunately, we have gained the notorious label of being violent people. And that is just the label that we've got, which is just in general. People are just generalizing. You understand what I mean? You get good people and you get bad people. That's in every race group, right? So, not all white people are good people. Not all black people are evil people. Not all colored people are gangsters. Not all colored people are drunkards. Not all colored people are thieves. Not all colored people are vulgar. Not all colored people are. So this thing of just generalizing is unfair, to be honest, because if you're speaking in general, that means everyone should be included in this same category. Because at the end of the day, most people have a closed mind when it comes to certain race groups. Because we can give an example of saying most people believe that all white people are racist, and that would be unfair, right? It would be like saying all black people are thieves, and that would be totally unfair. Reason is, if you generalize, you miss the broader picture of getting to know a people. You understand what I mean? So instead of generalizing, we need to actually look at people on a person to person basis. You know, yes, in every area I can guarantee you that there is good and bad. And yes, there are dangerous areas. And in most cases, if it was as dangerous as people make them out to be, and I'm not saying they're not dangerous, believe you me, they are dangerous. Even the most quiet of neighborhoods, the most affluent of neighborhoods, have seen their fair share of crime, fair share of violence. So is it fair to just say like other people are dangerous and violent? I think it's totally unfair because if an area was totally violent from Sunday to Sunday, from January to December, I don't think there'd be women and children living in those areas. I think it would only be all the violent people living in these violent areas. That's why I look at it. You know what I mean? But to be honest, the drug trade obviously added to it. The Group Areas Act, removing people from where they were living before and then crowding them and putting them in confined spaces, added to that. So it's a frustration that builds up, it's the anger that builds up, it's the hatred towards the system that builds up, and then you take it out on the vulnerable people in your community. Then obviously it grew into turfs, into which then spiraled into gang activity, which then just grew into what it became to what it became now to what it is today. You know what I mean? Now it's business related because it's the drugs that are in it, it's the taxi routes that are in it. So there's a whole lot of different elements that are adding to this notion that colored people are violent. The alcohol also adds to it. So it's substance abuse, it's a whole lot of things. And I can guarantee that these things that I'm mentioning now, social ills, they are in every area. But for some reason, colors are singled out because of the gang related violence. That's my perception. You know, I could be wrong. Maybe someone else has a better understanding of it, but that is my understanding of how we got this notorious label of being the most violent and the most vulgar and the most you can name whatever in the book. And I think it's totally unfair to generalize that all colors are the same, and yet we are not. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holla. We're here to learn and inform. We're here to educate as well. Don't forget, man, learning is powerful. Knowledge is power. Holla.